Hey everybody, Subterranean Annihilation here. This is Sam, and I got 333 from Richmond. Well, half of 333. I'm talking to Gilbo and Palmer, the singer and drummer. What's up, guys?
Oh, just chilling, man. Appreciate you having us on. How you doing?
Yeah, definitely. Just hanging out.
I'm well. I appreciate you guys doing this. So I guess we'll just get started right away. I know I've played a couple shows with you guys, but I never really had a chance to ask. What does 333 mean? What does it stand for? What's the meaning behind it?
It has a couple different meanings. So it's basically the peak of the witching hour, which would be 3 a.m. to 4. So just like more, spectral, evil shit kind of has a tendency to happen at that time. And then there's just kind of like the basis that it's half the 66. It's not half evil. I've heard that a lot, and it drives me nuts. It's basically just kind of based around, I guess, early on was kind of my fascination with like the paranormal and just weird shit. So it's just, that's kind of the reason.
Yeah, I got kind of that vibe. I wasn't thinking like the hot topic, like 333. I'm half evil. I was thinking more like.
Exactly.
More like a time. So how did this whole thing start? Basically, what's like the first album you heard that made you want to play music, and what music you heard that made you want to play this style of music? Like, how did the band start?
All right, I guess for me, and I'll let Gilbert get to it. For me, I always say, I grew up on punk stuff. I always say the first band that made me say, holy shit, I need to start a band was the Misfits. More specifically, 12 Hits from Hell. Like, that just blew me away.
Hell yeah.
As far as the band, pretty much me and Taylor have been friends since forever. And we were both in, like, separate projects, eventually linked up. And, 333 was actually a thing for years before Hayden, our guitarist, joined, but we never really did anything.
Yeah.
So the version you guys know is the Hayden era, but yeah, I just kind of come up with punk stuff and, had more like metal friends, and that kind of influenced the sound. So it's kind of where I'm at with it.
Right on. Yeah.
For sure.
It's cool when you have somebody join up a band that motivates you, and everybody just kind of meshes well, and you get more stuff done that way. So my next question, a lot of people get into the music scene, because it's cool, and then they get out because it's difficult to keep a band together or make any money. What would you say sets 333 apart from this? What makes you keep going through lineup changes and the constant gigs, because you guys play all the time, and the tours throughout the years? What keeps you going?
Well, on my end, I've only been with the band for I guess about a year now or so, but I've still kind of been pretty just charged up over the idea of playing music at all. But I think a really important part of it is that we don't take ourselves too terribly seriously, and kind of the priority is that we're there to just sort of fuck around and have a good time. And if people having to vibe with it, then, that's incidental. So we're really there for more of our own enjoyment and the ability to express ourselves.
So when I listen to the self-titled and I guess your sophomore album or EP, Jaws of a Wolf, I hear like a whole variety of influences, like thrash, punk, even like death metal, grindcore. In your own words, how would you describe the sound that you're going for?
It's funny. We used to say thrash punk, like one word, just kind of like that was our brand. And I think over time, like Hayden's kind of a black metal guy. That's kind of creeped in. Mm-hmm. I've always been punk first, metal second, but obviously have shifted to grindcore and death metal and stuff like that. At this point, I feel like everyone's crossing over. So I think crossover more than like less, but like crossing over what? Like we kind of pride ourselves on really playing a couple of different genres, song to song. And that's kind of who we are. Like all four of us, any given moment in our cars are probably listening to completely different shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that crossover thrash would still be a pretty fair label to put on it. Because, when it comes to writing, everything does kind of come back to a bit of a punky thrash bass. But so when we cross over, we actually do try to cross over. And it's not just, thrash that's trying to, play death metal or fucking throw a doom riff every now and again. We're trying to actually expand and bring in influences from a lot of different places.
Hell yeah. And it's funny that you should say black metal because some of the riffs, I was gonna say, tend to be like more melodic or even like you have hardcore parts. And so that's cool. So everybody basically takes a piece of themselves and creates this whole sound. That's awesome. So next question.
Yeah.
I noticed you guys balance a lot of local and out of town gigs. What are your favorite parts of the Richmond scene shows compared to, say, other areas in terms of like the bands, people, or venues that's around?
I would say when it comes to Richmond that I really enjoy a lot of the local bands that come out. And I mean, it might be a bit of a cop out to say, but I really enjoy, like Chrome Huffer, for example, was, one of my favorite bands to come out of the local area. And I kind of enjoy a lot of the bar scene, especially like in Chakra Bottom, 18th Street. And I feel like in its own way, like even though, there's a lot that's fucked up about Richmond and it can be a pretty ridiculous place to be at the wrong time, every now and again. I kind of like the piss and vinegar that it produces. It kind of has it just has a knack for producing people that just make really fucking genuinely angry music.
Yeah,
and
it really is.
That a lot.
It really is like a riff factory. Like it's kind of ridiculous how talented people are in Richmond.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like we did years ago did an interview and I said some shit that maybe came off as bitter about Richmond. That it's very competitive. We play other places and seemingly people buy a ton of shirts and they really dig it. And then Richmond, sometimes you get crossed arms, but I don't think it's anything personal. I think it's just that, there's so much good stuff coming out of it. I mean, it's the home of Guar and Waste and all that shit. But beyond that, just like on the underground level, it could be a Tuesday night and there's some banging house show. So it's a tough crowd sometimes, but
yeah. Maybe they can be kind of jaded because, you guys have, I'm actually a little bit jealous of the Richmond scene because you can pull off a show on a Tuesday, where I have to, like when I book shows, I have to like really fucking beg people to come out on a weekday. And you guys just seem to have a built-in crowd and a genuine appreciation of art and music that I kind of wish, if Chesapeake or Norfolk wasn't so spread out, they would have. So how does everyone's work schedules align with all these gigs? Because you play a lot of shows.
Now we actually pretty much just got on a consistent work schedule because I went from working in a kitchen to doing an actual 9 to 5. So now my evenings are free, and that allows me to be able to practice 2 nights a week with the boys instead of just one day on the weekend.
Right on.
So I think we all kind of like do like trades basically, so it's just kind of working within that formula of just getting some time off long enough in advance, and I think we're lucky enough to have employers that'll work with us and stuff, and not really give us a hard time about taking time off, go on tour, play gigs and such.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's always good when you have a job that allows you to take time off. And I noticed you said the trades. I work in a trade as well, so those are all pretty steady. Usually weekends off. Get off at 5 o'clock. So that's always good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my next question, I noticed that the overall sound and visual look has changed between the two releases, but you still keeping the original 333 style. What would you say has changed lyrically or musically, and what sparked that change?
I mean, I would just say the introduction of Gilbo's done a lot of that. And then just, we're all evolving. We're all going from, into different things. Like I'm personally, I know you are a bit too, Sam, but, kind of horror heads and stuff like that. So it's easy to kind of make that transition from political into more like dark, imagery. But as far as the sound, I mean, it's the nucleus, we've had a lot of singers. I mean, that you've played with a couple, you played with us, I think when I was singing all the way through to now Gilbo. So, that's, Gilbo's had a lot to do with it, but at the same time, we've all kind of grown and just shifted. not to knock Dean, our previous singer, but you know, short of like showing up to shows and practice, he didn't have a ton to do with like the writing process. We're now, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, I write a lot of the lyrics and Gilbert writes lyrics, so now it's just like a force of two people that write all the time, and that's kind of made it just, you know, to where it's not just my lyrics, it's almost like a force now. So
it's motivated me to keep up so that if lightning ever does strike twice and we get enough attention to make some decent money off of it, I'm not caught in a reverse Billy Corgan situation where I have to try to scramble for writer's credit to make sure that I get royalties. But seriously, it's actually been nice because I've been able to go through Palmer's lyrics and we've been able to collaborate together. We actually compiled some lyrics that he'd written and some lyrics that I had written for a song that we've been performing called Trust and Technology. And so, it's definitely allowed for our styles to kind of mesh and come together. It's been really cool.
Yeah. Side note, I noticed some of the song titles on Jaws of a Wolf. Noticed one called Couch Finder. Is that about who I think it's about? You don't have to say yes or no, but
no, I'll just yeah, it is. It's about our dear friend, the finder of couches.
Hell yeah!
Because I had some experience knowing the gentleman when he lived at where I was living for a little while when he was associating with one of my roommates, and so it was like in true Couch Finder fashion, I wanted to do a tribute to him, but still keep it lighthearted and keep it all in jest and joking. So
not like an insult way at all, but yeah, he's a legend.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like a Highlander.
So, I guess last question, it's kind of a couple questions. What are the band's goals for the future? Is there any, interested labels, new music? I guess, obviously not tours right now, but tours in the future?
Well, it's funny that you say that because pending this situation with the virus and stuff, we have a tentative run in April that's planned. Mainly because we're slotted to play this festival that is still going, and we're kind of waiting.
We're plugged in.
We're done the protoplasm.
Yeah.
Yep. You guys are sick as well. Fucking ripping gore grind. I love it. But yeah, we have that tentative run planned, and beyond that, we're kind of just practicing, working on writing new material. I think that we have just about songs to, potentially do another EP if we wanted to, but we're kind of just sitting on shit, writing new stuff, and kind of just, not really pressuring ourselves too much because we're sitting on a fair amount of material right now.
Would you say that you're saving up for a full length?
I don't know. That's still up in the air. Full length or a split. There's a couple people we've been loosely talking to about a split. But either way, something I've always wanted to do is follow up a release really quickly, and because of lineup changes and bullshit, we've just never been able to. So that's something we're working on, but we don't know. At least right now, we got 4 or 5 that were, pretty much our songs, and then a couple other shit we're working on. So yeah,
honestly, that's kind of been what we've had our eyes set on.
Right on. So I noticed on Jaws of a Wolf, it said on the bottom, may be released on 7-inch vinyl. Was there a label that's interested in putting that out, or are you guys looking for one, or what's the deal with that?
We're always shopping, and actually I need to change that footnote. We're getting some tapes made, so be looking for those. That's in the process now. It just was, I always joke we're the brokest band in Richmond, which we're probably not, but we're tight. So, tapes were just a better option, but those are coming. So I'll have to change that. But as far as labels, we're looking, we're reaching out. We're a DIY band, so we don't want to do anything crazy, but definitely interested in any kind of, distribution. We'd be into that. So
yeah, for sure.
Well, maybe they'll listen to this interview and be like, man, I got to get those guys.
That'd be tight. That guy interviewing them has a real sensual voice. I need to talk to him too.
Especially if you call him daddy.
Yeah, big sunglasses.
Oh, dude, by the way, side note, I love your stage names. Was it Swamp Thing and Hash Grinder?
Nerve Grinder.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
That's awesome. So that's all the questions. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Like I said, at this point, it's really more of a favor to my YouTube channel because we don't have that many subscribers. But hopefully, when your fans get on here and see this interview, we can get some more and spread it around. And definitely appreciate you guys. You have a very authentic sound. Everybody listening, you need to check out Jaws of a Wolf and the self-titled from 333 from Richmond. And yeah, thank you again.
Oh, man. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Sam.
So if you're listening right now, please subscribe to Subterranean Annihilation. And thank you, guys. We'll see you on the next one.